Welcome back to the Grow Like a Mother podcast. My name is Jill. I am your host. I am a time management expert and love to share with you on the Grow Like a Mother podcast some expert guests that are able to share some wisdom and insights and tools for us to help us in our personal growth and healing journeys as moms and as go-getters and as individual people. So I'm really happy today to be joined by the incredible Christina Sofia. She is a trauma-informed coach who helps soulful entrepreneurs like us break free from burnout and reconnect with peace, joy, and purpose. With deep training in somatic healing, internal family systems, CBT, and more, Christina brings a truly holistic approach to nervous system repair and personal transformation. She's also a lifelong entrepreneur, and her work is rooted in both lived experience and deep wisdom. I can't wait for you to hear our conversation. But before we start today's episode, I wanted to quickly recommend a podcast that I think you're really going to love. It's called Talking to Teens: Expert Tips for Parenting Teenagers. If you're enjoying my show, you'll really appreciate how each episode features a different parenting expert offering practical strategies for those tricky teen situations. You know, the ones that make you question everything. From communication struggles to boosting self-esteem, they deliver real solutions to help you parent with confidence. Check it out, Talking to Teens, wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, now here's the show. Hey, Christina, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jill. Thank you so much for having me.
It's really fun to have you here because we're new friends. We met at a local networking event recently, and this is the thing I love about networking events is that you get to meet amazing people that are like right in your backyard who are experts in what they do. And it was just such a no-brainer to have you come on and talk with us today. So thanks for being here.
Of course, I love the fact that I get to be in networking events doing that because it's been so long and it's like, ah, yes, finally.
Right. Yeah, I know. And it does feel like this year particularly, at least in my like little community, is we're wanting to be out more. We're wanting to have more conversations and more connections, and that feels really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially as women. I think one of the things that I'm really loving about building the business now, which has become less online, more in person somehow this year, is that I get to be in relationship with women in a way that feels really safe and really supportive, which isn't always the case, you know?
Yeah, women actually really need each other. That's like so necessary because women, our primary way of like actually regulating our nervous systems and feeling safe is through relationships.
Mm.
And it's so sad that that it was and for a long period of time that women weren't our safe spaces, and it's starting to change and starting to see like this huge shift, and it's making us healthier.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And the work that you do contributes so much to that. I'm curious to know how you landed in this line of work. Like, what's the backstory, Christina's version?
Okay, I will give it to you in the shortest form I possibly can. So I actually had my spiritual awakening when I was really young. So I had it when I was about 12 years old after like going through really traumatic experiences throughout life. And I kind of went on this journey of like connecting to myself, connecting to spirituality. But what really shifted and changed was when I started to really connect to the somatic parts, because I had done all the affirmations and connecting to myself and meditation, all those things. And yet I was still being challenged within my relationships. I was still burnt out all the time. I was still going up and down with my business. I didn't have consistent energy. Like, my health was up and down. I had PCOS. I had like hormonal challenges. And what really I found out was that it's like the merging of this, like the connection of the mind and the body and the spirit. So in 2019, I had invested in like this really large mastermind and this business thing because I had always been a business owner. And I just got to this point where I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm investing in this. I'm tired. I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Even though I've had these dreams and this vision of like traveling the world and, being with my partner and all of these big visions, I was like feeling internally so drained and being like, I'm doing everything possible. Like, I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm reading the books, I'm meditating, I'm taking care of myself. What is happening? And it really got me to go in this journey of really reconnecting to between not only the mind, but really the body, somatically, understanding my trauma, understanding my CPTSD, understanding my attachment theories, and then connecting it to my spirituality, connecting it to all the mindset work. And I created this process that really takes us through the healing of the body, the healing of the nervous system. And it was like the thing that clicked into place. And, all that childhood trauma, all of those things have just cleared. And now I have consistent energy and I just feel so like alive consistently. And my relationship has changed, my sex life has changed. It just feels like it was like the final key, even though I had been given so much information growing up and I had therapists, I had the thing. It just didn't give me the right information to be able to unlock what was actually underneath.
Mhm. Yeah, it's such a good reminder that we can, if we're feeling like we're doing everything possible and it's not quite clicking, it's like we're just maybe missing that one piece that makes everything else make sense and helps us see everything that we've already learned. Like the stuff that we've learned, just because we're not where we want to be doesn't mean that the stuff isn't important, it isn't valuable, it isn't working. It's maybe like the one thing locks everything else into place. And then it's like, oh, and you can breathe, right? And it's like that release that you've been looking for. So to anyone who's listening to this and on the journey and it's like, I'm not quite there yet, like you're gonna get there. Just keep doing the things you're doing because you'll find the piece of information and maybe it's here today. Which is what I love about doing this and sharing people's work. I would love, though, if you could, just for the listeners who might not be familiar, explain the word somatic and what that really means.
Yeah. So somatic work actually covers a lot of different types of work. So you can consider yoga somatic. It's the body. Somatic is the body. But when I'm talking about somatic work, I'm talking about working with our nervous system. So maybe you've heard about the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn and the vagus nerve. This is what we're working with. We're working to relax this body, relax the soma body, so that way there's more energetic space. Because what happens is that when we are stressed, it squeezes. And like things like yoga and breath work, they all work with that versus trying to change ourselves through a mindset, which is what a lot of therapy, talk therapy, has been focused on.
Yes, thank you for that. I find often it was a new concept when I was learning about like being in my head and needing to get into my body. And I was like, I don't really like intellectually, I don't understand because I've always been given tools that are very mind forward focused, right? I think that that has been the most common thing that we have had access to so far in our culture and our society. And it's really nice to see all of these grounding tools that are like focused on our bodies and our nervous systems to bring us back down to help us get regulated.
Because that's what controls the mind. It's
Mm,
really interesting is that our amygdala is 4,000 times faster than our mind, which is
wow.
the part that controls our nervous system, our fight, flight, freeze. So like when we're talking about like reactions, right? Like, I'm thinking about moms when they react to their kids so quickly, right? Or they act to their partners and they react in life. It's because of this, not because of intellectual. And then you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. Shame, shame, guilt, guilt, guilt. But it's this, and it's meant to do that. And so, why are we trying to change this first without understanding how the body responds? We're setting ourselves up for failure.
Yeah. And we're setting ourselves up, I think, when we ignore the body and when we don't pay attention, we're not um living closely in alignment with what's happening in our body, we're setting ourselves up for burnout. And that's something that somatic work can help with too. Can you take us through a little bit of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so burnout, the way that I describe burnout is a tiredness and fatigue, a fog that is not shifted from sleeping and resting.
Hmm.
Okay. And it's because it's our bodies are not, we don't just regenerate from sleep. Like we think, okay, I'm tired, I must sleep. But what happens is that our fatigue can be caused by the amount of stress that's in the body, a heightened state. It's like survival mode. And so when your body is in either a often I want to say that moms and high achieving women were most of the times in a hyper state. So meaning our bodies are like heightened. We have anxiety. We want to move. We don't want to sit still. We're like, I need to go, go, go. I need to do, do, do. I can't sit down. I can't relax. So even when you do sit down to relax and you're, this is so like numbing out, watching TV or sleeping or even drinking a glass of wine, it's not replenishing the actual nervous system. It's just pausing everything. And so the
Mm.
energy doesn't get created, it doesn't get released. And so it stays in that state over and over again. And if we stay in that state for too long, our bodies, it crashes. So it goes to the opposite end of the spectrum where it's like, I can't move. I need to survive. I need to rest. And so it does the opposite thing. And so it's like a pendulum that goes back and forth. And so we think that sleep is going to allow that to change, but really what it is about understanding the nervous system, bringing ourselves, it's like a wave. The way that I describe it, it's like you need to go through this wave experience to then come back and do that multiple times until your body's like, I'm safe. I can actually replenish. I can repair the body. I can repair the mind, and then that's when we start to actually heal.
Right. Yeah. Two things that I want to bring up from that beautiful explanation. I always describe burnout as the unequal exchange of energy out and energy in. So as you were talking about like the energy getting stuck in the body, like that made total sense to me. And the second thing is I'll just share a little piece of like my personal burnout story for maybe listeners who haven't heard it. And it was that um, I guess it was 2019, maybe or 2020, 2019, in and around there. I had a really small baby. I was really bad postpartum, and um, I ended up working with a naturopath who helped me discover like I had some adrenal burnout going on. And my son at the time, he was 3, was just diagnosed with autism, and a whole bunch of things were going on. And I later heard that and I don't know if this is factually correct or not, but it certainly landed true in my body that parents who have, specifically mothers of kids who have special needs, have the same physical like stress response as soldiers who are on the front line. Like it's a whole thing that your body, if you can't, if you can't find a way to take care of it or get out of the situation for a time or heal, it's constant and chronic and you can't get out of it.
Yes, it's chronic stress. And so that's why, so we call PTSD is what we would describe for a lot of like soldiers and like war, but CPTSD, which is complex postpartum stress disorder, is all about
Mm.
relationships. Okay, it happens in relationship. That's the only way it happens. And so when you have a child whose nervous system is up and down, they're constantly needing support, and you're constantly as a mother trying to create safety over and over and over again. You're like, I can't create safety because I don't fully understand what's happening in the situation. How do you, with an autism, it's like there's so many things on the spectrum, and you're constantly adjusting. You're in hypervigilance, that chronic stress over time, and that's when we lead to inflammation, gut problems, hormonal problems. All of those things get attributed. And I've worked with so many women who have gone to naturopath doctors, and then afterwards the naturopath is like, you need to learn how to like actually regulate your nervous system, because if not, this is going to keep on happening over and over again, and I can't fix your gut unless you're in like a calm state and that chronic stress has been shifted.
Yeah. Okay. First off, I feel so seen. Thank you. Second, I'd love if you could offer the listeners some tips on like how can we get started to in our everyday life without needing to add a ton of time, money, energy, whatever. How can we start to be aware of where we might be heading towards burnout or not paying attention to our bodies, and a tool or two that you could offer for us, like that we could use as preventative, like regulation, you know?
Yeah. So it's going to depend on really what your style of burnout is. So I have a couple of styles of burnout, and I'm going to give tips for each one of them.
Amazing.
So if you are someone that is constantly giving, you're the overgiver, right? A lot of moms do this.
Yeah.
A lot of moms do this, and just saying yes and wanting to help everyone and want to make sure everyone's safe. It's going to be creating boundaries. It's going to be creating boundaries and allowing your body to create safety for itself and say, my needs are important. And the key to remember with this is that you can be safe without taking care of everybody else. If you have this, it's because in order for you to feel safe, you're like, I need to take care of everybody else. And so recognizing when someone is asking you things and you are feel obligated, because if not, you feel unsafe. Really recognizing that and be like, no, I need boundaries. It is not my responsibility to save everybody. I'm okay by myself. I'm okay. I don't need to take care of everybody to be okay. So that's the people pleaser. If you are the overachiever, where you're like, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. I have so much energy. I just like, I want to change the world. I have these big dreams. I have these big visions. This is going to be about slowing down and recognizing that you don't need to achieve everything to be loved. Okay. This is like the hypervigilance. It's like all the time going, 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 because there's an unconscious, the body believes that I need to work really hard in order for me to have success. So reminding yourself, I don't need to work hard to have success. Success looks like a peaceful body, joyful relationships, connection with myself, which is most women. If you are like most like the hyper masculine man who's like a woman who's like, I don't really want to have relationships, cool. But I want to say most women are not like this, and that they actually want relationships, but they feel like they need to give so much because their worth is in what they do. So bringing back the worth from that and slowing down. Okay. The perfectionist is along that line, but we know perfectionism is a little bit different. It's like all the little small details, all the little things that need to be controlled in order for everything to be okay. It's letting go of control. It's really like recognizing when you're trying to control something, when everything needs to be perfect, it's your body's way of trying to protect yourself and give you safety. And realizing, coming back and being like, I am safe if things are not perfect. I'm safe if things are not perfect. So when we're doing the perfectionism thing, slowing down and being like, wait, why am I trying to control the situation? Slowing that down. Then there's the emotional reaction, like the reactivity. So if you have like a lot of emotional reactivity and you're like going up, you're like really happy, then you're really sad and you're angry and you're frustrated and you're all of those things, really learning to bring the emotions down and cycle them. So breathing in, and this is really the emotional experience, is that we talk a lot about, there's a lot of things around expressing your emotions right now, that like you need to express your emotions and not suppress them, which is really important. But expressing emotions should be able to be expressed in 90 seconds or less. Anything more than that, you're putting your body into a stressful state and it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And when you're expressing a lot of emotions, anger, a lot of times it's anger and frustration for a lot of women, it comes up and out. It's really about your body trying to protect itself, right? You're trying to protect yourself from the world around you and coming back and be like, I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm good. Don't worry about it. Like, it's so hard when we're like with the frustration, like everyone's like, oh, just like calm down. But it's really what you need is safety. You don't need to calm down. You need safety, coming back to the body and be like, I'm safe. I'm good. Touching yourself, coming back to that. Then there's the numb out queen, where we just like come out, we numb out, we do all these things. We're just like, I don't want to deal with any of this, which actually is put your body into a stressful state, because it's just like in frozen, it's freeze mode, is you need to move. You need to move gently. You need to get up. You need to bring up energy, because what happens is we get stuck in this freeze mode and then our bodies can't regenerate. So bringing up the energy gently, getting into your body, movement, yoga, breath, those are all ways of supporting. And when we are numbing out, it's because we're afraid of being in our bodies. We're afraid of being in the bodies and reminding, I'm safe to be a human. I'm safe to be in this body. My needs are met. So those are the 5 burnout cycles, and then as well as how to support them. And those are like the easiest tools I can give you, because I think that if I give you one and then it doesn't work, you're gonna be like, okay, well, it doesn't work. But this is like the most complete way I can really support any listeners who are listening, who are like, hey, how do I start to affect this? It's really understanding what your body and your nervous system needs is the best way to start doing this. Because understanding what your body's always trying to get a need met. And so when we shame and guilt ourselves for trying to do something, We are shaming, guilting the very nature of your body. And by learning to understand what is it trying to communicate, you can start to love yourself truly, not like the whole like love yourself and accept yourself, but really understanding and loving your body and thanking it for doing its job. You can find different and more effective ways to getting those needs met.
Okay, as you've noticed, I've been taking notes as you've been talking, which is my style. But it's super cool because I'm having like a mind blown moment right now. I have a quiz that I offer to my clients, my followers, and stuff. That's to find out your productivity type, and based on that, I offer these solutions for like time management, and rest, and self care, and all of these different things based on what your productivity type is. And
Yeah.
your archetypes are bang on to mine. I only have four, but the solutions that you are offering for burnout for each style, like for example, the people pleaser in my world would be called the relationship builder, right? I've got the I think you called it the achiever, I call it the high performer, like same. And it's really cool to see that the tools I'm offering are in alignment and on the same path as the tools that you would offer, even though we're coming at things from different specialties. Like my specialty is time management, your specialty is a million different things with regards to the body and somatics and healing and all of that. And it aligns so beautifully, and it just really validates for me that the work that we're doing is helpful no matter how you find the solution. Like, give it a try. And like you said, it's nice to just have one or two things to start with so that we don't get overwhelmed, because I find the same thing. I like to offer like maybe three per type. Like once you find out your type, that's in and itself a whole thing to understand about yourself, and you want to dive into it without so many tools. Because what happens for people, at least specifically the high achiever type of people, but we want to try it all. And of course, we can't do everything great all at once, and it takes time. And then we beat ourselves up and we're like, I'm a failure. This isn't working. I am not working.
I'm not worthy of love because I'm not successful.
Right.
And that's what's creating the burnout, because your whole body is like shaming and guilting yourself. And so it's like, okay, like, yes, and you were doing that for a very good reason. Most of these patterns have been created before the age of 5 years old.
Yeah.
Before
Which
the
as a
age,
parent is
yeah.
terrifying. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's powerful that we should know how babies and how their nervous systems are growing. Like I feel like and I know it's like it's sad in some ways being like, but like it's no one's fault. And how empowering is it to really understand? Because the only way you can change it and really help your child is by understanding yourself.
Hmm.
And you can't prevent them. That's the thing, is that you can't prevent any of these cycles. Your child is going to have coping mechanisms of some sort. Like it's got to do that. And
Yeah.
so it's like not trying to prevent coping mechanisms, but giving them the most empowering ways to use those coping mechanisms, right? Because the woman who's an overachiever, it's not about not being overachieving, because she's going to go after things. It's going to, a child that's very ambitious is going to go after things, and just reminding them, be like, you don't need to be successful in order to be loved.
Yeah.
That's all we all have to do is balance it out.
Yeah, I love that. Curious how people find out within your typing system what their type is. Like, do you have a quiz, or when you work with people, do you kind of like slot them in, or like how do people find out?
Yeah, so most of the time when you're working with me, it's like individually we go into it. I'm working on others ways. I'm going to have a podcast episode being released about all of this soon on my episode. But most of the time, women will come in and I have a reawaken your magic process, which is all around teaching you your attachment theory. So it's understanding how you actually relate in relationships, which is a big part of how you feel safe in your nervous system. I teach you about how these things were formed, how to create new mechanisms, how to create boundaries. And then it leans into how to listen to your intuition, how to, awaken your relationships and your sexuality, because you can't awaken that when you're burnt out, how to connect into your leadership, how to re-relate with your self-worth, and then finally how to connect with like who you truly are. And so that's like the reawaken your magic process. And that's one of the things that's being taught in that.
Okay, this sounds amazing. And I feel like everyone who's listening is like, sign me up. So, Can you tell us? I know you've got, as we record this, it's early April. We're not sure yet when this is coming out, but can you tell us about some of the things that you have going on, and the best way that people could start to get in your world and connect with you? You mentioned your podcast. Like, I want you to share all the things.
Okay, so if you are looking for an easy tool, 25 minutes in the morning to learn how to regulate your nervous system and do all of the things I'm talking about, which is activate your sexual energy, connect your intuition, just connect to yourself, I have created a 25-minute morning bliss routine. It is a course, so you have to take it over 5 days, but basically each song has a different somatic tool that's going to teach you. You can also use those tools outside of it. So that's if you're like, I want to do some work. If you want to learn more information, you're like, I love diving into information. I have a podcast called Remember Sister. Okay. It's very easy to remember. Ha ha ha. And then the final thing is I do throw events. So I have virtual events. I know I have a virtual event about remembering how to relax and be safe in the body. That's happening on April 17th, depending on if this is happening. This is released after that. I will be hosting more virtual events, and you can definitely reach out to me to have that conversation if I have a virtual event coming. The virtual events are free. They're really about helping you to come out. They're about 3 hours long. They're pretty intensive. So if you want to get into any of these ways, Morning Bliss is literally wildwoman.ca/morning bliss. Remember Sisters, my podcast, and you can follow me on Instagram to find out about the virtual events.
This is so exciting. I know I will be following along and joining in because these tools are so powerful and they really make such a huge difference. And when you get in and when you learn about them with a leader like you to help sort of mentor along the way, it provides a little bit of like safety blanket, right? Like I'm learning something new, but it's community and I have someone trusted that I can connect with. And it's such a beautiful way to do it. You can start on your own, of course. You can read a book, you can listen to a pod. Yes, you can learn these things by yourself, but the beauty, right?
We were talking about this. So women heal with co-regulation. We need community. We need that. So that's the reason why when you learn you come into my world, it's a sisterhood. So it's all women coming together and literally being in groups heals each other. Being in that space. And then because it's so beautiful when someone comes in and they're, experiencing an emotional response or they're having something come up, because my role is literally to be the safe person. I can help heal the inner child in ways that no one else really can if they don't have the tools. And that's what, like, parents, I want parents to learn this as well so they can take it to their kids as well, to be like, this is how we get to co-regulate, this is how we create safety. And it just creates this ripple effect that is so, so beautiful. And I would love to be able to support any woman who's like, hey, I need a safe place to be able to understand this and learn this and to heal my burnout so that way it doesn't come back.
Yes. Amen to that. And to the ripple effect. My next tattoo is literally going to be like a water drop with the ripple. Like it's so front of mind for me right now. Um, is there, before we say goodbye to everyone, is there anything that feels like we either haven't covered or you just want to make sure everyone listening today really hears?
Let me just drop into that.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing that I share within this, if you feel any like shame or guilt that's coming up, that is normal, of course. We feel these things, and truly, I want you to know that you're not broken. You don't need to fix anything. The main thing is remembering, because there is a little girl, 4, 5, 3, that was drawing, that was dancing, that was playing, that was connecting with people, that knew how to do these things. And so it's not about trying to fix you, but try to remember who you've always been and who you inherently and naturally are. And so, the same way that you're going to hold your children and just be love them and see them in that perfection, that's the goal. It's just remembering that.
Thank you for offering that. Thank you for all the wisdom and value you brought to the audience today and to me. This is my favorite thing about hosting podcasts, selfishly, is like I get the masterclass direct from the person. I get to ask the questions. It has been truly healing for me to have this conversation with you and to be in your energy. So thank you for being here. And yeah, for everyone listening, make sure you go check out Christina. We'll have everything in the show notes. So it's super easy for you to get connected with her.
Thank you so much, Jill. I've really loved this conversation, and I hope
Yeah.
anyone listening has was a good time listening to this too.
Yes, I know that they will. And yeah, thank you so much. Until next week, everybody, keep on growing like a mother.